He said he was being mentored, but when my son's girlfriend turned 18, my husband crossed a line that changed everything, and that wasn't even the worst part. The moment I saw the message on his phone, "I miss your thick sausage smirking face," I swear I stopped breathing. It wasn't the words that hit me first. It was the sender, Lena. My son's girlfriend. The girl who called me mom at Thanksgiving. The girl who once cried in my arms when her dog died. That Lena. 18 years old, dating my son since freshman year of high school. And now? Sexting my husband. My name's Danielle, I'm 42, and for 2 decades I've been married to Greg, a 49-year-old finance exec who hasn't looked at me like a woman in years. We have 2 kids, Josh, 18, and Mia, 15. Josh is a senior in high school, sweet and smart and utterly infatuated with Lena. Or he was. Until everything exploded. I never meant to see the message. Greg was clearing out his apps, something he does obsessively like it's his religion, and I just happened to glance over at the screen when he swiped up. Right there, nestled in the open apps, was iMessage, still running in the background. I only saw it for a second, but it was enough. "Miss your thick sausage smirking face." From Lena. I wish I could say I was mistaken. That it was a joke. That I imagined it. But I didn't. The next few days were a haze of quiet panic. I turned into someone else, someone cold, calculated, obsessed. I searched his laptop when he went to shower. I found a hidden folder titled July 13th, inside, dozens of BDSM clips and a stash of saved Instagram pics. All of Lena. Fully clothed, smiling selfies. But why were they even there? My hands were trembling when I finally looked through more of his texts during one of his long showers. I took screenshots. Lots of them. I read messages that no woman should ever read from her husband. They joked about me. My weight. My age. My clothing. "She tried to wear that green dress again," Greg had written. "Looked like a bratwurst in a skin-tight condom." Lena replied, "OMG, face with tears of joy, she probs thinks it's still in style." That color died before TikTok was born. Each word was like a slap. No, not a slap. A public flogging. They giggled about how boring and slow I was. How Josh's mom always looks like she's buffering. Greg joked about my laugh, said it made him want to chew glass. And Lena, who once asked me how I made my lasagna so creamy, wrote back, "She's like an old modem, loud and useless." I stared at our family photo hanging over the fireplace. The one from Christmas last year. The one where Lena's standing next to Josh, all teeth and dimples, while Greg wraps an arm around my waist like he still loved me. But now that I looked at it again, I saw his fingers weren't curled around me. They were balled into a fist. His smile looked forced. And hers was directed at him. I remember asking myself, how long? How long had this been going on? Since she turned 18? Or before? The thought made me nauseous. It wasn't just an affair. It was a betrayal that cut in every direction, against me as his wife, against Josh as his son, and against Lena as the girl I trusted. It was layered, rotted, disgusting. And somewhere in the mess, I found a red thong in our bedroom. It wasn't mine. It wasn't Mia's. I ignored it. Lied to myself. Pretended maybe it got mixed in with someone else's laundry somehow. I was so stupid. I haven't confronted Greg yet. I can't. Not yet. I'm still playing dumb, collecting evidence. My brother's hooking me up with a divorce attorney who's apparently a junkyard dog in court. I need to be ready. Because I'm not just going to walk away quietly. But the hardest part, the part that twists my stomach into knots and wakes me up in the middle of the night? Josh. He loves her. He's still texting her right now. He doesn't know she's sleeping with his father. He doesn't know that the girl he thought he'd marry is laughing about me, his mother, with the man who raised him. What do I say to him? How do I explain that everything he believed about love, loyalty, and trust was a lie. Because once I tell him, nothing will ever be the same again. And the worst part? I'm not sure if Greg waited until Lena turned 18 before it all began. Or if this goes deeper than I ever dared to imagine. There was a moment, maybe 2 days after I found the thong, after I'd scrolled through every last flirty message, when I actually debated pretending I didn't know. It sounds ridiculous, right? But there was a kind of safety in denial. If I stayed quiet, everything on the surface stayed the same. Our family dinners would still happen. Josh would still look at me like I was someone safe. Mia would still hum her little songs while doing her homework in the kitchen. Greg would still hand me a kiss on the cheek like a well-trained actor. But the lie had already spread inside me like a virus. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I was living with ghosts. So I got smart. I backed up everything I found: screenshots, saved files, Instagram pics, phone logs. Turns out Greg used a filter on his dating apps to only show girls aged 18 to 22. I documented that, too. 3 different apps. Dozens of chats. Even the bios of girls he was talking to. And then, I found the folder labeled faves. Inside? Nothing illegal. But it was all suggestive. Roleplay outfits, handcuffs, blindfolds. Even a maid uniform and, sickeningly, a plaid skirt and button-up blouse that looked like something ripped straight from a Catholic school brochure. My stomach turned. What kind of man dresses up his son's girlfriend in a school uniform and calls it fun? I drove straight to my brother's house. I didn't tell Josh or Mia where we were going, just told them to pack for a couple days. Josh didn't ask questions. Mia looked worried, but she followed. My brother, Luke, met us at the door. He didn't say anything, just wrapped his arms around me like a shield. And that's when I broke. In front of the kids. I couldn't hold it anymore. I sobbed into Luke's shoulder while Josh and Mia stood frozen behind me, their duffel bags still in hand. I sat them down that night. I told them everything. Mia's hands balled into fists so tight her knuckles turned white. Josh? He didn't say a word. His face went blank, like he was watching himself disappear from his own life. Then, out of nowhere, Mia whispered, "I always thought it was weird, how she'd touch his arm when you weren't looking." Josh stood up and left the room. I didn't follow him. Later that night, I heard him crying through the wall. But that's not all. The next day, I met with Lena's mom, Angela. A woman I used to bake banana bread with while our kids studied algebra in the living room. I told her everything. I handed her the screenshots. She turned pale and left the room. When she came back, she was holding Lena's phone. She gave me the entire chat log. 3 months worth of messages. It was all there: flirting, plans to meet, their special songs, their secret jokes at my expense. One line from Greg: "She thinks I'm working late. LOL. Lena replied, "You should see the way she smiled at me today. Like she's proud." Cringe. Angela was devastated. But Lena? Lena didn't apologize. She cried when her mom confronted her, yes, but she didn't cry because she was sorry. She cried because, as she put it, "You'll never understand what we have." She said they were in love. She said I'd never made Greg happy. She said, "We're soulmates. You just got there first." Angela was sobbing when she told me this. "She's gone," she whispered. "It's like she's under some kind of spell." But what hit me hardest was this. Lena swore the relationship only became physical after she turned 18. Just 5 months ago. I didn't believe her. Because I remembered something, vivid and clear now, about the month Lena turned 18. Greg started getting jittery. Extra attentive. He brought me flowers once, out of nowhere. Took us all out to dinner. Sat beside Lena instead of me at the table. I didn't want to believe it back then. I chalked it up to work stress, to aging, to paranoia. But now? Now I think he was covering his tracks. There's a term for this. Grooming. He didn't just cheat. He conditioned her. He made her feel chosen, understood, desired. And the saddest part? She still believes it. As for Greg, I hadn't confronted him. Not yet. But all that changed when I saw what he left on the kitchen table, a printed schedule for Lena's college visits. 3 hotel bookings. 1 room each. That's when I knew he wasn't going to stop. Not unless I made him. And what happened when I finally confronted him? Well, that's something you won't forget. I was trembling so hard I nearly missed the join meeting button. I didn't want to see his face. But I needed to. My lawyer had advised me not to meet in person, too risky. Too unpredictable. So I sent Greg a calendar invite. Family update, I labeled it, just vague enough that his ego would click without thinking. When his video popped on, my breath caught. Greg looked wrecked. Unshaven. Red-faced. His dress shirt unbuttoned at the top. He kept rubbing his hands together like he was waiting for a bomb to go off. He had no idea I was the bomb. Greg, I started, trying to keep my voice calm, we need to talk about Lena. His eyes darted. You don't understand the context. That word. Context. He repeated it like a prayer. What context justifies grooming our son's girlfriend? I asked, each syllable like ice. You're twisting this. It wasn't like that, he snapped, sweat glistening at his temples. You always jump to conclusions, Danielle. Always playing the victim. I have screenshots. Messages. Hotel bookings. Lena's mom gave me her chat log. His face paled. Then turned crimson. You had no right to look at my personal property. You had no right to destroy our family, I cut in. That's when he exploded. His voice rose into a roar. You're trying to take everything from me, my kids, my reputation. You're sick. You've always been jealous when people actually wanted me. That's when I knew I wasn't talking to my husband anymore. I was talking to the mask he wore, and it was crumbling fast. I'm filing for emergency custody of Mia. You won't see her again unless the court allows it. You can't take my kids, he screamed. They're mine too. I made this family. No, I said, my voice steady now. You broke it. I ended the call before he could scream again. My hands were still shaking. But I wasn't scared anymore. I was angry. And focused. And that's when a memory came roaring back, one I hadn't thought about in years. When I was 16, I had a best friend named Trina. We were inseparable, same classes, same taste in music, same dreams of escaping our small Illinois town. She had this bright energy, the kind that made teachers smile and boys trip over themselves trying to impress her. One day, she stopped talking to me. Just like that. Wouldn't return my texts. Wouldn't meet my eyes. I only found out why 2 weeks later. She'd been secretly dating my dad. My father. A grown man. 46 years old. The worst part? She was afraid to tell me. Said he promised her it wasn't wrong because she was special. That he'd leave my mom eventually. That age doesn't matter if it's love. It shattered me. Not just because of what he did, but because it meant I'd missed it. Right in front of me. I'd brought her into our home. I'd handed her the glass of lemonade she drank while sitting on his lap. I never spoke to Trina again. And I never looked at my father the same. And now, it was happening again. With Greg. With Lena. With my son. History wasn't just repeating, it was mocking me. Back in the present, the aftermath of the Zoom call was swift. Greg tried calling me 17 times in 2 hours. I blocked him. I filed for a restraining order the next morning. Then, I sat Josh and Mia down. Again. This time, it was different. I'm getting a divorce, I told them. And I'm filing for full custody of Mia. Josh didn't react. Just stared at the floor, his fists clenched. Mia burst into tears. "I hate him," she whispered. "I hate what he did to us." Then she looked up. "Did Lena ever?" "No," I said quickly. "Nothing before she turned 18. That's what they're both claiming. But we're going to therapy, and we're going to be okay. No more lies." Josh finally spoke. "I want to talk to a therapist. Not for Lena. For me." His voice cracked, and I felt my heart split wide open. The son I raised, the boy who once left me handwritten coupons for hugs on Mother's Day, had just been gutted by the man who was supposed to show him how to be one. And Lena? She wasn't done. In fact, she was about to do something that would take this nightmare to an entirely new level. Because the next morning, Angela called me, her voice shaking. "She ran away," she said. "Lena left in the middle of the night. There's a note. It says they're in love." "They?" I asked. "She's with Greg." When Angela told me Lena had vanished, I didn't believe it at first. "Danielle," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "she's gone. I found her bed empty, the window open, and her car keys missing. She left a note. She read it to me over the phone. I'm choosing love. Greg understands me in ways no one else ever has. Stop trying to control me. I'm not a child. We'll be together, no matter what." I had to sit down. My head felt like it was filled with fog and static. Mia was upstairs, humming while brushing her hair. Josh was out for a walk. They didn't know yet. And Greg, he hadn't tried to contact us all day. I called the lawyer. Then I called the police. Angela filed a missing persons report. Legally Lena was 18, but her note, and Greg's existing restraining order, meant there was enough to trigger an alert. But here's the thing, this wasn't just about a runaway teenager anymore. This was grooming. This was predatory. And this was war. While the police began tracking Lena's phone, I did what I've always done best, I investigated. I dug deeper into Greg's browsing history. Reopened the external drive I'd copied from his laptop. That's when I found something chilling buried in a folder labeled Old Docs. It was a subfolder named Special. Inside? Photos. Girls. Dozens of them. Not nude, nothing illegal. But they were all young. Teenagers. College students. Girls in school uniforms, gym clothes, smiling selfies taken from Instagram stories. And all of them saved with dates. Names. Lena's folder was the most recent. There were 5 others before her. And one of them, I felt my stomach twist, was a girl named Ray, who used to come over for Mia's birthday sleepovers 3 years ago. I opened her photo. A birthday group shot in our kitchen. Mia had pink frosting on her nose. Ray was smiling next to Greg. His hand was on her shoulder. A tight grip. Too tight. I couldn't breathe. I called Ray's mother. She answered on the first ring. "It's about Greg, isn't it?" Turns out, Ray had told her mom something years ago. About how Greg always tried to sit next to her. About the time he insisted she change into dry clothes after falling into our pool, and offered to help. Her mom confronted Greg at the time. He denied it, laughed it off, said Ray was emotional. My daughter was too embarrassed to push further. But now? With Lena missing? She was ready to talk. That was the turning point. The police got serious. The evidence I turned over, his online patterns, the grooming, the obsessive documentation of underage girls, was enough to launch a formal investigation. And then, the break we needed. Lena's phone pinged. A motel off Route 46, 40 minutes outside the city. When police arrived, Greg's rental car was parked out front. And Lena? She was inside, asleep. Greg had just left for coffee, according to the front desk clerk. But they never found him. He vanished. Vanished. Left Lena behind. No note. No goodbye. When they interviewed her, she cried, at first. Claimed they were in love. Claimed they'd done nothing illegal. But the more the detective pressed, the more cracks showed. Turns out, he'd told her they'd run away to another country. That he'd left his job, his kids, his life for her. But he hadn't. He never quit his job. Never cancelled the lease. Never left a trace. He took Lena for a week of manipulation and fantasy, then disappeared the second heat got close. Left her behind. Like trash. She was 18, yes. But she was also broken. Angela came to get her. I stayed in the hallway, out of sight, but I saw her when she left. Her face was pale, makeup smudged, hoodie pulled over her eyes. She looked haunted. I should have hated her. But in that moment, I pitied her. She wasn't just the other woman. She was a victim too. The investigation into Greg is now federal. They found encrypted drives, multiple burner phones, and online messages to even younger girls. He's on the run. There's a warrant out. The authorities think he's fled the state, maybe the country. And me? I filed for full custody of Mia. Josh has started trauma counseling. He hasn't said Lena's name since we told him she ran off. But last night, while watching a movie, he suddenly whispered, "Was it my fault? Because I loved her?" I turned off the screen. "No," I said. "She made her choices. But he is the reason we're healing from a fire we didn't light." He nodded slowly. Then he asked something that chilled me more than anything. "Do you think he ever really loved us?" 3 weeks after Greg disappeared, I got a package in the mail. No return address. Just my name, scrawled in handwriting I knew too well. I opened it at my brother's kitchen counter while Mia sat across from me, sketching quietly in her notebook. Inside? One thing. Greg's wedding ring. And a note. "I loved you once. But you made me feel small. I found someone who made me feel alive. Don't follow me. There's no point." My hands went numb. That was it. No apology. No accountability. Just one last dig, cloaked in cowardice. Mia watched me closely. "Is that from him?" I nodded. She stood up, took the ring from my palm, and threw it into the trash without a word. And just like that, I realized I wasn't waiting for justice anymore. I was the justice. 2 days later, I got a call from the detective. They'd found him. He was arrested in Panama, using a fake passport and booking a flight under the name Michael Green. An anonymous tip, possibly one of the other girls' families, had tracked a financial trail through OnlyFans accounts and flagged it. When they raided the hostel, he was with another girl. 17. From Ohio. My blood ran cold. But they got him. He's facing multiple federal charges, including child endangerment, obstruction, interstate evasion, and grooming. They also uncovered a massive cache of saved messages from dozens of social media accounts, dating back years. Girls as young as 14. Most of them never even knew they were being watched. It wasn't just about Lena anymore. Greg wasn't a one-time monster. He was a pattern with a heartbeat. And now, finally, that heartbeat was locked in a cell. The courtroom was cold the day I testified. I stood there, hands shaking but voice clear, and told them what Greg took from me. Not just my marriage, or my dignity. But my sense of safety. My trust. The innocence of my children. I looked over at him once. He didn't meet my eyes. Good. Because if he had, I might have screamed. Josh never saw Lena again. He chose not to. Said he needed to heal, not reopen wounds. He's been seeing a therapist twice a week. Slowly, he's coming back to himself. Sometimes I still catch him staring off, that old softness in his eyes now replaced by something older. Sharper. But he's strong. More than he should have to be. Mia's made a painting of a phoenix. It hangs in our new apartment's hallway. When I asked her what it meant, she said, "Us. Burning. And then flying anyway." As for me? I'm not the same woman who ignored the red thong in the laundry. I'm not the same woman who thought a cold marriage was just the cost of stability. I am, now, someone new. Someone harder. Someone freer. I'm finalizing the divorce. The assets are being liquidated. And everything Greg built on lies is being split with cold legal precision. The kids and I are planning a trip. Just the three of us. Somewhere warm, somewhere silent. Somewhere without ghosts. Because what he left behind was destruction. But what we're building now is peace.